What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are talking about thread checkers and why every single garage needs to have one of these cheap, super helpful tools. Let's go. Alright guys, welcome back to the garage. I hope you like that little intro. I'm kind of experimenting with a couple of different things, so leave me a comment if you like it. If you don't like it, let me know. I've got a couple of different options there just for my little intro sequence. So anyway, let's jump into thread checkers, why they're so important and why you guys need to have one. Now this video is not sponsored, but I do have an affiliate link down in the description. So if you guys are interested in picking one of these up, if you use that link, I will get a small commission off of it. I would really appreciate it. You help support the channel, you help support me. So if you're interested, use that link down below. Thanks. So if you're anything like me, you're working around the house or you're working around in the garage and you need nuts and bolts of various sizes. But sometimes you don't know what size you need and you don't know what sizes you have. A lot of us just have a bucket in our garage of random nuts and bolts and you don't know what sizes they are, what thread pitches they are, or really, how to use them in any way. So that's really where this thing comes in. This thread checker has a variety of different sizes and thread pitches in both metric and standard. Now, what this tool gives you the ability to do is twofold. It's not only good for, sorting out your variety of different nuts and bolts, but you can also use it on, if you're doing something around the house, if you're working on a car, or if you're working in the garage, you can actually use this tool to find the size of the nut and bolt that you would need on whatever thing it is that you're working on. So for example, if you've ever bought anything from Harbor Freight, you know that they give you everything you need, but all of the nuts and bolts just come in one big bag, none of it's labeled, none of it's sorted, so you don't really know what you're working with. They give you a table of the nuts and bolts that come with it, the hardware that comes in the package, but you have to sort of sort it out yourself and figure out what's what, and a lot of times it might be the same size bolt, but it might be a different thread pitch, and so that's where this comes in. So for this example, I'm gonna use a couple of different nuts and bolts just to show you guys basically how this works. And these came directly out of the package for my Harbor Freight engine stand that I bought. All right, so how this works is that each of the individual units on the chain has both a male and a female end. So the male end of each of these is for checking the size of the nut, and the female end is for checking the size of the bolts as they screw into the top. So for our example here, I'm just gonna use this, which I believe to be either an M12 or a 1/2 inch bolt. They're both pretty similar in size, like they both fit in here, but I'm not sure. So we're just gonna use this and we're gonna check it. I'm gonna start on M12 175. Being a little bit annoying to focus, but yeah, M12 175, we're gonna start there. And basically just gonna go, each unit by unit to see which one fits this guy. So this is M12 175, doesn't really thread at all. And basically you just go through the sequence here. So it didn't fit M12 15. Let me go to the standard side. So if we go so now on the standard side, we've got 1.5 13 and 1.5 20. So it's a 1.5 inch, or not 1.5, sorry, it's a 1/2 inch 20 and a 1/2 inch 13. So the 1/2 is the size, the physical diameter of the bolt, and the 13 and the 20 is the threads per inch. So you could have 13 threads per inch or 20 threads per inch. So we'll go check the 20 first. It starts to thread, but it kind of gets caught up. So now we'll go the 1/2 13. Yeah, and that thread's nice and smooth. So that threads pretty much all the way to the bottom. So now I know that's 1/2 13, and then, say if you had a nut of some random size that you needed to identify, you can take your nut, or whatever it may be, threaded washer, whatever you've got, and then use the male end to take your nut and thread it onto there and check it. So now I know that both of these, this nut and bolt, are both a 1/2 inch 13 threads per inch. Pretty cool. Now, the other way you can use this is directly on whatever item it is that you're working with. So this is my K24 engine that I'm going to be swapping into my Subaru BRZ. subscribe if you want to follow the build and see how this whole thing works out. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take one end of this, and because they have loops on either end, I'm going to take one end and actually thread it through, and this is going to help me just basically kind of use this more or less like as a screwdriver almost to try and pick out one of these little units and try to identify the bolt holes on the back side of the engine, because what I need to know is what bolt, size and thread pitch do I need in order to get it onto my engine stand. A lot of forums online will say, oh, just use the transmission mounting bolt that you take off, screw that right in and you're good to go. I don't have the transmission for this, nor do I have any of the hardware that goes with it. So I know which holes to use, but I have no idea what size or what thread pitch I need for the bolt to be able to get it up and mount it. So that's, again, where this comes in. So I believe that just about everything on this engine will be metric, so I can use this in one of my holes, and it looks like it's about an M12, right? So it's about a 12 millimeter bolt size, but I just need to figure out which of the thread pitches I'm going to use. So I'm going to take one end, thread it through the loops, kind of guide this all the way down, right? And so now I can, isolate one unit at the bottom and use this to basically screw into each of these bolts to try and figure out which thread size these bolts are. So I'm going to try M12 175. So this is the hole that I'm interested in, so I'm going to take this guy, line it up, so it definitely looks like an M12 size bolt, but I'm going to see if this 175 thread actually works for this. It starts to thread, and then it kind of gets caught up, so it's not that one. And then I'm going to go to the M12 1.5, go in there, and start to screw it in. Looks like it's going to go. Oh, well, and then it gets caught up again. It doesn't really screw all the way in. Unscrew this. So now we try the M12 1.25. Line it up and start to get the threads going. Yeah, and so now I can basically just spin this around, and that threads in nice and easy. So there you go. M12 1.25 is the bolt and thread size that I need. Pretty neat. So that's gonna wrap up the video on the thread checker. Just a quick little video here just to kind of showcase a tool that I found super helpful that I figured you guys might also get some use out of. Again, there is an affiliate link down in the description, and if you use that link and end up purchasing the item, I'll get a small commission. I would really appreciate you guys supporting me and supporting the channel. So if you guys are interested in any of the videos that I'm going to be putting out surrounding the Turbo K24 swap that I'm doing for my Subaru BRZ, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. I've got a fuel pump. I need to get this transmission and the engine cleaned up. I've got a full engine pulling the FA20 video that's going to be coming out at some point. I've got the full disassembly and reassembly with all the new shiny parts for the engine itself. So a ton of new content coming. I am just kind of waiting for all the parts to come in, and I'm trying to get videos out as the parts get here. So bear with me a little bit. Once I get all of the parts in and I can start to get to work, the videos are going to start rolling out on a very frequent basis. So if you like this video, make sure you leave it a like down below. It helps me out. It helps the algorithm know that this is the kind of content that people want to see. Again, subscribe to the channel if you're new. We'll see you guys on the next one. A different bolt size and a different